Ford, Westchester's newest and nicest Ford dealership. And during our grand opening now through this Saturday, you can save big from MSRP on over 100 new Ford cars and trucks. Even hard-to-find models like V8 Explorers and 97 F-150 pickups. There's a new way, a new place for Ford service and maintenance with ASE-certified factory-trained technicians in a clean, state-of-the-art facility. Fairway will service any Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury vehicle no matter where you bought it. There's a new way. Fairway Ford will beat any Ford dealer's advertised price. Just bring their ad. It's that simple. There's a new way at Fairway Ford, where the fairway is our way. Fairway Ford off Sawmill Parkway at exit 37, 255 Kisco Avenue in Mount Kisco, New York. Call 914-666-0500 for easy directions. Fairway Ford.
Frances has been kind enough to hold over on line 5, her date of birth, January 30th. Good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning, Frances.
Good morning. I love your show. I just found out about your show.
Oh, well, thank you.
I've been very happy to get on with you. I'd like to know about my health, and also I'm thinking of buying a new car. Could you tell me what would be a good time?
Okay. You have the sun in Aquarius and the moon in Sagittarius. This is a harmonious angle. There might have been a few issues. Do you have a daughter?
Yes.
There might have been some issues with your daughter or women friends in your life in November that might have been a little, upsetting.
Well, you are psychic. You don't need a psychic with you.
Oh, well. Anyway, I think that this is going to be a little bit of an issue that you're going to have to work with. Did it affect your health in any way, do you think?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. I think you have to try to find peace within your dreams. Are you able to remember your dreams?
Yes.
So if you try to write them down and really just the first idea that pops into your mind with your dreams, if you can sort of trust that feeling, trust the instincts. It's always the hardest thing for us to do in any area, whether it's about our health or our faith or our, psychological well-being. But you need to really trust that. Okay. You also, there was a big shift in January for your sun sign, the sign of Aquarius. Let's see, you have Venus in Pisces, Mars in Sagittarius. Yeah, that relates back to the daughter. Your issue is particularly your health.
Well, it was with my daughter, but now the next thing is the car. I'm a person that lives alone and doesn't know too much about cars, and I have been, the last time I really was rooked, and I want to know when would be a good time to buy a car.
Well, do you need it right away?
No.
It's probably better to wait a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Probably October.
Oh, you're very good.
Okay.
You're fantastic. You really are great.
Well, thanks so much. I appreciate your call.
Frances, thanks for calling. Before we get to Anne Marie, who's calling from Mohegan, she said you're a psychic. Now, just so we get the record straight, what is a psychic? Are you a psychic?
I think you have to go back to the word root. Psychic. The word psyche means butterfly. It also means the soul. And I think people that are, quote unquote, psychic, the idea of being psychic is that you can get in touch with your soul or your inner being or your inner light or whatever it is, whatever your particular religious philosophical belief is, that inward part of yourself. And I think we're all capable of that. I don't think it's restricted to any one particular kind of person. So I really feel that I am a little psychic when I trust myself enough to be able to get in touch with that part of myself, which I don't always, because it's tough. It's a very hard thing to do. But I think most people are able to. It's just a question of trusting it.
Okay. Anne Marie, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Anne Marie's calling from Mohegan. Her date of birth is 12/29/51. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning, Mary Michele.
Good morning. Did you have a particular question?
Yes. What type of man should I be with?
Okay. 12/29/51. Okay. You have the sun in Capricorn, as you know, and the moon in Capricorn. You were born at the new moon. You're quite a forceful lady.
I know that.
And Mercury in Sagittarius, Venus in Scorpio, Mars in Libra. Mars in Libra, Jupiter in Aries, you know, the nature of the way that you would go after somebody that you would be interested in is very kind of passive. You know, you would always wait for the other person to try to make the initial, Mars, your energy is very diplomatic in the sign of Libra. It's like you're always weighing the odds. You're trying to figure things out. You won't just take the initiative for the sake of taking the initiative. Although with the Sun, Moon, and Capricorn, you seem like such a powerhouse, perhaps this might be a little deceptive to the men, you know, that you would, you know, be involved with or would like to be involved with. Let's see, you know, Venus and Scorpio, you know, there's an intensity about your attraction to people. You know, it's almost like you go very, very deep inside of yourself and create this, it's almost like a volcanic eruption that could happen when you decide that there's someone that you like, but then you don't quite know how to implement it. They say in astrology that you should always realize the opposite of your sun sign, as, you know, particularly the older we get. Not that I think you're old, but as one gets older, one wants to go for that. So the opposite of Capricorn is Cancer. Cancer would be a sign that would be very important for you. Do you have any Cancers in your life?
Not at this time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if you could kind of look for it, I mean, it would be a little bit of it's an opposition, so there would be a little bit of a clash of wills sometimes, but it would be good for you. You know, you're a strong person, and you need someone equally strong to be able to get you to see another point of view sometimes.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, we have an open line at 241-1310. I thought Cancers were homebodies. Are they strong people?
Oh, are you kidding, Mike?
I ask an innocent question.
It's kind of subtle, because the nature of Cancer is they come in, you know, sideways, so you don't feel the strength of the you don't feel it head on. You know, it's not like a train barreling down the tracks. It's more like a large sailboat. If the sailboat comes at you, you want to get out of the way, but more often than not, they veer off in different directions, so you're not sure of the power of them. Is that an image?
Don't look at me. I'm asking a question. It was an innocent question. Mary Michelle's taking your calls on astrology. We do have open lines at 241-1310, 241-1310. We'll be back in 1 minute. Here's great news for the Bronx and Westchester. Our Lady of Mercy Medical Center and St. Agnes Hospital are merging to create a comprehensive health care network. It's very exciting. Caring doctors with many specializations providing quality care are now within reach of everyone. Our Lady of Mercy's Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Children's Center and St. Agnes's Thomas and Agnes Carvel Foundation Children's Rehab Center form one highly advanced infant and child care facility. New medical villages, full-fledged doctors' offices are opening too. Patients set their own appointments with their own doctors. Teams of doctors and specialists work with Seniors Health and Vitality at the world-renowned Mastrodani Center for Geriatrics. And our new healthcare network blends modern medicine with compassion, dignity, and respect. And Our Lady of Mercy and St. Agnes continue a proud affiliation with New York Medical College. The merger of Our Lady of Mercy and St. Agnes is great news for you. Call 1-800-628-1008 or 914-681-4614. And we're back with Mary Michele taking your calls on astrology at 241-1310. I promised you last Friday I was going to ask Mary Michele this question. So I'm going to ask this question. Two people born on the same day, which was June 21st, 1947. These two being Meredith Baxter Burney, or Meredith Baxter because she is divorced from Bernie now, and also Michael Gross. Both of them were 49 years old last Friday, and both of them played husband and wife on a TV sitcom. So my innocent question is, would they have made it in real life? And the answer is?
Well, the sun in Gemini, the moon in Leo, this is, they both have a harmonious aspect between the sun and the moon. Their ability to understand each other and themselves was sort of easy. I mean, they worked at it, of course, like we all do. But anyway, the sun in Gemini, just very, briefly, I think one could say about the sun in Gemini, Venus in Gemini, Uranus in Gemini. These people have a lot of planets in Gemini, and Gemini, of course, is the person that is able to either be two people in one or be at two places at the same time. So certainly in terms of their compatibility, perhaps, sometimes they didn't even know if they were compatible. They were so good at playing their parts that they were good, they convinced themselves of it. As to whether they would have been good marriage partners, I think when you marry someone of the same sign, it's a validation of your own, your understanding of yourself. So in many ways, it can be very helpful. You can learn to understand yourself better. In other ways, it can be what they call in psychology narcissism. It's a little bit like looking at a mirror of yourself. So certainly as an actor, the nature of acting is that there has to be a certain amount of narcissism in it, or you couldn't do it. You have to sort of believe in your ability to get up there.
Are you knowing so? You're saying something you know from experience here.
Well, and you like.
I'm not a actor.
Well, anyway, performing, the nature of performing, there has to be that ability to have a certain amount of confidence and the projection of seeing yourself in other people and enjoy having people see themselves in you. So I think that they both understood this about themselves, therefore they were very good on TV. As to whether they'd be good in real life, I can't really say.
Whatever. This is why I asked the question. All right, Chris, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris is calling. Her date of birth is December 11th, 1962, 12/11/62. Chris, you're on with Mary Michele.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Did you have a particular question?
I guess about romance and work.
Okay, you have the sun in Sagittarius, the moon in Gemini. You were born at the full moon. So this full moon that happened, the 1st of June was a particularly powerful one for you. Was there something that happened in your romantic life around the 1st of June?
No.
No? Okay, well, it was a time that there was a possibility for you to present yourself in a way that you would have been attractive to others. You would have felt good about being attracted to others. Although the time of the full moon is always intense. It's like there's too much going on. You didn't even go out. It was a Saturday night. Well, think about it.
Probably not.
Okay. Mercury in Sagittarius, Venus in Scorpio, Mars in Leo. You have a lot of fire here. You're a very fiery individual. Do you create things? What do you do?
I do a lot of data entry and at work.
So do you create the programming at all, or?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, because you have many, many ideas, and you're probably someone that moves very fast and can do things, implement it quickly. But the work is okay. Are you happy with what you're doing?
Somewhat. It's hectic, but it's yeah, somewhat.
Well, you would be someone that would be in a hectic position. I mean, with all this fire is an element that knows, how to deal with things that are hectic.
Mm-hmm.
Venus and Scorpio, you really wanted to know about your personal life, right?
Right.
This is what's more. Okay, with Venus and Scorpio, there is this intensity. Your need to be loved and the way that you love people. It's that image of a volcano. It's like you're sitting on top of something that erupts from time to time. Mm-hmm. And I think with all this fire and so on, the only thing that's going to help you calm this down a bit is the planet Jupiter. You have Jupiter in Pisces, and I think you're going to be able to diffuse some of this explosiveness around your interpersonal relationships by going to the idea of Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet that rules Sagittarius. It's about higher learning. So whenever you're in a position of going to school, going to the library, taking a short trip or a long-distance trip, this is the time that you're going to be able to sublimate some of that intensity, that volcano that wants to erupt in terms of you meeting someone that would be good for you.
Okay.
Okay? So that is the situation in which you're apt to meet someone. Are you a religious person?
No.
No. Well, you might try and find something that is going to give you something to hang on to in terms of faith and understanding, and something that's going to inspire you to think about, that sort of great unknown, that great mystery that exists in life.
Yeah, I used to be religious, but not lately.
Well, you can change. You don't have to stick with the same religion. You can have if there was something that transpired that didn't work, you could find some other faith or something that works for you better. And also travel. Travel is very key. With Sagittarius is of course the sign of travel, and study. So whether you wanted to study law or medicine or any of those kinds of things, I mean, you don't necessarily have to go and do the whole thing to become a lawyer or a doctor, but that kind of study is something that it will inspire you, calm you down, and create the opportunity for you to meet people, the right person.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, thank you for calling, Chris. What would her opposite sign be?
Gemini.
Gemini. We just got out of Gemini.
Right.
Oh, okay. Talking to Mary Michele, 241-1310, taking your calls on astrology. We do have an open line. Mary, you wanted to touch on Chinese astrology for just a couple of seconds.
Yes, I know.
Excellent opportunity.
Thank you. There's been a lot of stuff in the paper recently about Chinese doctors and the problems that there seem to be a few people in Chinatown that are perhaps not completely ethical with their practices. But I would like to point out that there is a tremendous amount of good in Chinese medicine, and just because the nature is that we tend to go to one extreme or the other, and I don't want all of Chinese medicine to suffer because of a few people that have taken advantage of the system here in this country. And one of the things that I think is important to study is the Chinese philosophy, whether it's the Taoist or the I Ching, and part of this again relates to the idea of animals, and the Chinese astrology is always about animals, and there are 12 of them, like there are 12 signs. The story was that the King of China invited all of the animals to come and celebrate the New Year, and the first to arrive at the city gates was the ox. The ox is very strong and steady and sure. The rat, who was very clever, or the mouse, they also call him the mouse in Chinese astrology, had gotten a little ride on his chest. So the mouse, or the rat, is always awarded the privilege of getting there first. And he scurried in ahead. So the year of the rat, people that are born in the year of the mouse, are people that have that ability to, see things before they start, before they actually happen. They can create new businesses. They can start things afresh. They have tremendous energy and wit and cleverness, and love to go to parties and start new projects and all that kind of thing. The next sign, the sign of the ox, or the buffalo, is very slow, very steady, very sure. Everything that they do has great method to it, and you can count on them. I always find it amusing that 3 of the great legends in Hollywood are all oxes: Warren Beatty, Jack Nicholson, and Robert Redford. These are people that have shown great longevity, and this is true of the ox. They tend to stick around for a long, long time. The next sign is the tiger. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen that sign of the yin and the yang, with the white and the black. Well, that symbol really, I don't know which came first, but I know that you see often in Chinese art the dragon and the tiger that are performing that same kind of dance as the black and the white, showing the coming together of opposites. And the tiger rules the earth, as the dragon rules the sky. So tigers are people that tend to get people on the bandwagon. They're very... they're not necessarily political, but they are people that like to show a big foray and so on. I'm going to come back with the next, let's see, I've done 3 of them through the tiger, but we're going to take a phone call.
All right. Ann, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Ann is calling from Somers, date of birth October 18th, 1939. 10/18/39. You're on with Mary Michele.
Hi there. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Did you have a particular question?
Yeah, one about health.
Okay.
The
Yes.
other about marriage.
Okay. 10:13 was it?
10/18.
18. Okay. You were born with the sun in Libra and the moon in Capricorn. This is a hard angle. It's hard sometimes to relate to your unconscious. They're both cardinal signs. You're a leader. You're someone that's very good at leadership things, but with the sign of Libra, more often than not, your concerns are about relationships. Has your health been difficult with the feminine, like with the breasts or that kind of thing? Has it been...
No, but as far as relationships, yeah, because I have osteoporosis and arthritis in the back.
Uh-huh. Okay, so the bones, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Moon in Capricorn. Capricorn rules the skeletal structure. Mercury in Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio. I would say with this Mercury-Venus conjunction in Scorpio, the relationships for the past 13 years, up until November of 95, hadn't been working out too well. Was there a shift in November of 95?
Not that I remember.
No. Well, anyway, the thing is that I think that you're still thinking with this Mercury in Scorpio and the Venus in Scorpio, you're still thinking about the life and death struggle of relationships. You're not really seeing how it's possible for you really to move on and to have the kind of relationship that you would really like to have. Or if you're in a relationship, to alter it, to change it, to feel better about the way that you have the relationship that you're in. Are you presently involved?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a question of shifting that. You have to find a new way. You've gone over the worst part. If you didn't...
Underbody, interior shampoo and vacuum, glass cleaned inside and out, washed, polished, and waxed, as elegant as the day you first took your car home. If you're in a hurry, don't worry. Andy provides a shuttle service to and from. The kids are bored? Relax. There's a play area and coloring books as well. At Automotive Elegance, your car will be cleaned and beautified in a way that you never thought possible. So stop in today, because for a limited time, if you mention WVIP, you'll save $25 off complete detail work and $5 off any hand wash, interior or exterior. Automotive Elegance, that's the place. 330 Lexington Avenue, Mount Kisco. Phone 666-0808. They're open 7 days. The number again, 666-0808.
And good morning and welcome to Mondays here at WVIP. It's the 10th day of June, and our very special guest, as always on Monday mornings, Mary Michele is here. And I have to tell you, I mentioned this earlier on the air, I watched you at Hopfields. I didn't realize you were such a celebrity. I mean, other than in our hearts.
Oh, Mike. Well, good morning. It's good to see you, too. And what can I say? I've had a very checkered past.
I thought do you want to? No, we're not going to do that. Mary Michele takes your calls on astrology at 241-1310. This is a great time. We do have open lines, 241-1310. I know you wanted to talk about a couple of things today. You and I were commenting, both of us wear reading glasses. And so you said you were going to talk about the Iliad, and I said, that's got small print. And what's the parable when you talk about astrology in the Iliad?
Well, astrology is really dealing with myths. It's the mythology of the different planets and gods and signs. There are always stories attached to them. And I thought that I would bring up the story today of what caused the Trojan War. So this is what happened in the Iliad and then on into the Odyssey. The Odyssey was the story, of course, of Ulysses, because the Greek word for Ulysses is Odyssey. Anyway, Ulysses was one of the characters that figured in the Trojan War, and really the way it started had to do with the nature of the three goddesses, or the three phases of the moon, as I talk about a lot in astrology. And what happened was the three goddesses, Hera, or Juno, who is the queen of the gods, Minerva, or Pallas Athena, who is born out of the head of Zeus or Jupiter. She was the goddess of wisdom. So Hera, Juno, was the goddess of power. because she was the queen of the gods. Minerva was the goddess of wisdom. And the final goddess, of course, was Venus, the goddess of love. And the story was that there was a great feast or a great wedding that happened, and it was between Thetis and Pelus, I think. And everybody was invited to this wedding except for the goddess Eris, or Discord. And because she wasn't invited, she came anyway, kind of like the story of the Sleeping Beauty. And she threw a golden apple down with the words, "For the fairest of all." Now, this can mean a lot of things. Who is the fairest of all? And what happened was Jupiter didn't want to make this decision because he knew he was behind the eight ball, and no matter, who he chose, he was going to be into trouble. So he turned the problem over to a shepherd that he plucked out of the, hillside somewhere called Paris. And Paris was required to come and make this decision between the three goddesses of who was the fairest of all. Well, Paris, being a young guy, decided that he really was had the most interest in what kind of a wife he was going to have. And Venus told him that she would pick for him the fairest wife of all. So he picked Venus of the three goddesses. He picked love over wisdom and power. Well, what happened with the Trojan War was, well, it's kind of a long story, but the main thing that happened was that for a long time it looked like Troy was going to win. And Troy, of course, was backed by Venus. The other two backed Greece, Hera and Minerva. They backed Greece. And in the long run, it was Greece that won. So I think that this is kind of a parable about how initially love or beauty is something that is very much a part of our life, and I don't think we should ever lose it. But in the long run, perhaps, what we really want to pay attention to is the nature of power and wisdom. These are all words that, I realize are loaded. We can have endless discussions about, which is more important, wisdom or power or beauty. But anyway, the point is that these are the kinds of stories that the Greeks told. And the reason why they told them were so we could contemplate and think about how these things come up in our life every day, how we have to make these choices. And we do. We're constantly making choices. Are we reacting on an emotional level? Are we reacting on an intellectual level? Are we, reacting from a place of wisdom?
I lost count because I didn't buy the dollar scorecard for all the gods here. You mentioned wisdom, power, and beauty. We're talking to Mary Michele, taking your calls at 241-1310. Are there certain people born under certain astrological signs that are interested in the wisdom, that are interested in the power, that are interested in the beauty? For instance, is somebody who's a Taurus more interested in A, B, or C?
Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. So Taurus will probably go initially for that which is the most sensuous, that affects the five senses, and usually we put love and beauty in that category, not necessarily wisdom and power. Now, this doesn't mean that Taurus people do not have the potential for wisdom and power, but Venus is it's the strongest thing in their chart. Let's see, what would be, Jupiter is the king of the gods, and everybody has Jupiter in their chart. So Jupiter is the male equivalent of Juno or Hera. Hera was the queen of the gods, Jupiter's wife. So where you have Jupiter in your chart is where you are going to experience the power of the nature of power and what it means. Jupiter, as the planet, rules the sign of Sagittarius. So Sagittarians are definitely people that perhaps might not be into money, but they might be into, having wisdom and understanding. We think of Sagittarians as being people that deal with the law, science, higher education, philosophy, and all of these things are the kinds of things that bring you power. Now, the more negative side of Sagittarius or Jupiter would be people that try to have power over other people, try to manipulate, and being of the mind and being sort of wise and understanding the nature of information. Sagittarius or strong Jupiterian people can be manipulative that way. They can use power to their, to the destructive end. Of course, it's not just Sagittarius, it's all the signs. But the point is we all have Sagittarius in our chart and we all have Jupiter in our chart. This is where astrology can be very confusing, I realize. But the sun sign, Sagittarius, it's where the sun was at the time that you were born. This is, it's important for you to realize the nature of power. Power, beauty, what was the other one?
Wisdom.
Wisdom, okay. Wisdom would really be probably come through the sign of Scorpio. The other character that we relate